gotta allow time. Some of us are trying to work overtime. Some of us feel like we've wasted time. Some of us feel like we're not on time. But I want to say to somebody, when you look at the book of Nehemiah chapter 6, verses 3 through 14, when you get home, you read it. Let that be your devotional. I just want to extrapolate some things out of that chapter, because Nehemiah had guts. Nehemiah had an attitude. He knew what he wanted. First, he had to be convinced about it in himself, because now, when it mattered most, he had to recognize the timing of the thing. There was Sanballat, Tobiah, folks that was coming to him. And the scripture says time and time and time and time again, they kept coming, trying to distract him. Who's being distracted in time? They tried to bring disappointment, talk about the building, the walls. They tried to bring some dismay. They tried to make him doubt. Literally, what they was trying to do was have him waste his time. They called him and said, come on down, come off there. They wanted to waste his time. I want to talk to somebody, because the enemy has tried to make you think you've wasted time. Wasted time in a relationship. Wasted time putting a whole lot of energy in something that didn't pan out. Wasting time trying to have people like you. Wasted time trying to buy love. Do you hear me? Wasting time by putting your dreams and what God spoke to you on hold. You've wasted time because God spoke and you then just sat there and did nothing with it. Oh my God. Wasted time thinking that, it would just happen. You prayed and then you sat back thinking God was going to do it. But could I say, anytime you pray, after you pray, then it's time for you to move, because then God hears it and he acts based on your movement. Good God. See, the first thing is you act in what you say, but after you say it, then you got to put some feet to what you said so that it can align with what God, so you can know that God speaks back through what he's saying. Oh my God, I got to move on. That's for somebody today. But could I say to somebody that as you're building, timing is very, very, very important. Your timing is very, very important. Why? Because your building time has an assignment. You can't stay building all the time. There has to be a deadline. Number one, a deadline. For a deadline, Mason Coley said it like this: regret for wasted time is more wasted time. That's going to come up on the screen. Number one, you need a deadline. To your building, you have to have a deadline. Every building has to have a deadline. Could I say to you, whatever God is saying right now, whatever project you have to put a deadline to it. Every project in your life, what is the deadline? See, people are regretting for wasted time. But could I say, if you're regretting wasteful time, that's more time wasted. Could I say to you, start today. God, I'm setting a deadline. Setting a deadline of when I'm going to reach my savings. I'm setting a deadline when I'm going to lose weight. I'm setting a deadline when I'm going to gain weight. I'm setting a deadline for when I'm going to achieve writing my book. I'm setting a deadline of when I want to be proficient in being what I feel is what I would call a prayer warrior. I want to set a deadline of when I'm going to witness to somebody and see their lives change. I'm setting a deadline for certain things in my life. See, For Nehemiah, he had to set a deadline. What if Nehemiah just kept on building? Folks would have maligned him. Folks would have laughed. Folks would have said, oh, you still building? When you gonna get done building? You are more convincible. You are more believed. You are more credible because you've taken the moment to set a deadline. Could I say to somebody, today, look at your calendar and set a deadline over the next 3 months, 6 months, 9 months. Do you know 12 months from now is a year? What will it look like this time next year? So number one, you got to have a deadline. So that's what Mason Cooley said. The second thing you got to have is an expected end. In other words, a great president by the name of John Kennedy said it like this: we must use time as a tool, not as a crutch. Let me say it again, powerful statement. We must use time as a tool. When we talk about building, are you using time as a tool to build? See, you got time. So many are trying to do stuff out of time because they're looking at others and they see what others have. But could I say, if you don't use your tools wisely, it could become a crutch. Have you allowed what you didn't do? Have you allowed the times that's gone past? Are you now using it as a crutch to say why you can't use the time you have now to make a difference? Jesus said it like this: redeem your time. I believe this is about to be a season for somebody where you're about to buy. See, I heard him say redeem the time. That means somebody you could buy some time. You may have lost some time, but redeem means to buy back. In other words, somewhere in time, you could buy some time back. You may not be able to go back to restore some relationships, to restore what you didn't do to you with your kids when you was incarcerated, or with some loved ones who have lost. Listen, stop crying over what you lost. Now that you got some time, invest that into something now that you can invest in. Somebody, oh my God, I just heard the word of the Lord. Stop trying to invest in something that cannot come back. Woo! Your grandmother is gone, but here you are as a grandmother. Invest what now you got for your grandchildren to be able to bank off of what you now don't have. My God, my mom is gone, but you know what I can do now? I can invest in my mother in love. I can invest in my grandmother in love who's still around. Redeem your time. Woo! Number two, have an expected time. In other words, we must use time as a tool, not as a crutch. Expected means you expect something out that time. You go to work. I hope most of us, some are unemployed and can kick back. I don't know. But even if you're unemployed, why are you using your time? You should have an expectation on your time. Stop letting time be wasted. Expect something from your time. You're on right now, and it's about 2 hours. Okay, I got 5 minutes to go. You've been on for close to about an hour and a half. I hope that your time with me you've gotten something, that you've been inspired, that you've been motivated. I'm praying, because see, that's the only thing I can do humanly. But where it really goes deep is that the Holy Spirit in me connects with your spirit and it transforms you. I am expecting that this time we have together, that there's something you're going to get out of it. Put it in the comment section if you've expected something and what did you get out of this time with me? Woo! What did you get out? As we close, I want to hear, what did you get from this time? Just like right now, let every moment stop wasting time on frivolous arguments, on thinking so much that now the enemy got your mind, on stuff that don't matter. Somebody said it this way: if you don't have nothing to say and you just there to argue, I don't got time to argue with you. That's a waste of my time and energy. So see, I'm hoping in 2021, if you've learned nothing else through this pandemic, that you expect something from your time. You need to put an expectation on your time. I go to the gym for that 1 hour. Do you hear me? Maybe a little bit more, because I'm expecting something. I'm not going to the gym talking. I'm not in the gym socializing. Matter of fact, I get mad if you start talking, because I have a goal in that hour and a half. I have a goal. Matter of fact, it can't come quick enough, because after I get out, I try to jump on the scale and I get mad that if the scale ain't showing my time of what I've put in, I get angry. But then I have to pace and understand that time, it may take some time for time. Oh, that's for somebody. It may take some time for time. Number 3, because I got to move on. You got to set parameters. Not just anything can go. Don't just let anything come into your space. Don't let anything just zoom your time. Sanballat, Tobiah, they tried to get into Nehemiah's time. And Nehemiah refused. He said, I cannot come down off this wall. Time and time again, you keep calling. I don't got time. Time and time again, you trying to distract me. I don't have time. Time and time again, you trying to take my mind that I'm thinking more on issues than I am on progression. I don't got time. Could I say you've got to set parameters? Some people set the parameters. Some issues set the parameters. Some talk set the parameters. Who am I talking to? You're about to walk from this session where you are setting some parameters. I only got 5 minutes for you. And after 5 minutes, I'm gone. Set the parameters. I'm only going to deal with this for a certain amount of time. I'm only going to stay in this for a certain amount of time. I'm only going to give my time to this for a certain amount of time. I'm only going to deal with this for a certain amount of time. Listen, child, you only got a certain amount of time, couple of more years. And listen, if you ain't got it yet, then you're going to have to get it while you in college, because you only got a certain amount of time. Child, you can only stay with me a little while longer. You're going to have to get your own place. You're going to have to get your own space, because you only got a little bit more time. Listen, you better save your money. You better think about what you're doing. Listen, because your bills that I'm paying, you only got a certain amount of time. Set your parameters. And then when time is up, you move on. Don't stay stuck there too long. Don't let your place that should be a dance now become a coffin. Number 4, don't time frame. I already kind of said it, but don't hold on to the past and to the irrelevant goals just because you've already spent too much time on them. In other words, you invested a whole lot into the relationship. So now you feel indebted. You know, when you think of what you put in, and what you put in is not adding to what you're getting out of it. Whoo! Oh my God, I'm trying to close, but I just felt something there. You invested time and stuff is broken. You invested your life not to get what you thought in return. You've invested and you've allowed your emotions to take way. So depression and anger and low self-esteem and all of those mind things. But let me remind you, don't hold on to the past. That's a rear mirror. And yes, I don't want to belittle it. It does affect. But you got to determine, I've got to build. See, in building, you're recognizing something's broken. You're recognizing something got to be fixed. You're recognizing it ain't what I want it to be. It ain't what it used to be. But sure enough, it ain't going to stay that way. These goals that I had, they're irrelevant now. Yep, I had a goal to love you. I had a goal to save. I had a goal. But when I look back, I didn't save enough. I didn't do enough. Stop, recognize it, but don't stay stuck there. Just because you've already spent too much time on it, set a new time frame. I'm going to do different. I'm going to be different. I'm going to flow through. Let me say it this way, and I got to get ready to close. When you hear from God, He'll give you something. It's on you to say, Lord, show me the time. Give me the understanding. And let me say it this way, because I want to close, because when I was trying to wrap this up, the Lord put this in my spirit. Because sometimes we don't know the timing of God. God will speak, and sometimes we think it's right then and there. Or sometimes we'll feel like we didn't do it. Sometimes it's futuristically. But I need you to understand there's a difference between a time and a season. Put that in your notes. There's a difference between times and seasons. Times just keeps happening. Seasons are moments. Think about the seasons: spring, winter, summer, fall. We got 4 seasons, but let me say this. The Bible informed us that we have 4 seasons, but in the spiritual realm, there's 5. 5 is a number of grace. 5 means you could do it again. 5 means that what you thought was wasted can be redeemed. It's called the season of due, D-U-E, due season. And the difference between a due season and time is like this. The Lord had given me a revelation about this with somebody. He said, what you're waiting for is time to catch up with the revelation of your due. In other words, God has spoken. It's just not due season. In other words, He spoke in past time, but what He spoke is in future time. And so could I say to somebody right now in building, you don't wait for just time. You got to recognize there is a season. There's a season. And so some of us are getting frustrated because we think it's time, but time ain't yet. We're putting the time in and it just doesn't seem like it's happening. We're putting the practice in and it seems like nothing's coming out of it. You're praying over and over, but it seems like nothing's happening. You're investing, but it seems like it's not enough happening. My God, it seems like not enough is taken out of it. But you must understand that there is a difference between time and season. Maybe I'll continue that later, talking about seasons, but I'll leave it right there. That your season of due is about to come forth in due season. You have been building, but your season hasn't come yet. You have been preparing, but your season hasn't come yet. Time is in season, but not season in time. In other words, once the season arrives, then that time will show forth the season of what it was prepared for. Let me say this, it's due season for you. For time has finally caught up. What you've been building is about to come forth in its season. Come on, just prophesy to yourself. Time is about to catch up to the season. Why? Because I didn't stop building. Matter of fact, for those who are starting, keep building and recognize, look for the seasons, baby. What season are you in? Look for the season. Right now, it may be cold, so you may not be able to do a whole lot outside, but you better rest assured, don't you stop building, because spring is about to come. And when spring comes, there's some stuff that you've been putting in the ground that's about to grow. Oh my God, summer is on its way. My God, it's that season of your life. And so somebody stop second guessing. Stop talking about you can't. Stop talking about it's not yours. It is yours for the asking. What do you need in this time? You don't get discouraged. My God, don't you lose hope. My God, it's time for you to invest in your time. Let time no longer be wasted, but it's time to invest in your time. What you invest your time in, guess what? In due season, you will reap